Hi guys, hope you're having a terrific start to your day. Today is Saturday, November 12th, and my favorite holiday is rapidly approaching. So I've only got a few weekends here left, I think, of good weather, and so I thought today would be a good day to go ahead and hang up the Christmas lights. However, instead of just hanging up Christmas lights, I want to bring you guys along with me. In this video, I'm going to kind of go over the process for any of you guys that are thinking about hanging up Christmas lights or are just curious on the process that I took. As you are probably very aware of, there are many different ways to hang Christmas lights. This is just the way that I like to do it. I hope throughout this video that it gets your creative juices flowing and that this time you will be able to hang up Christmas lights on your house as well. So let's go ahead and start right in. So step one, we're going to be looking out at the outside of the house. You kind of want to get an idea of where you want the Christmas lights, as well as we're going to be going around the outside of the house here looking for the different outlets. You want to know the potential places where you can plug in your lights. As you can see here, I've got three main plugins here outside my house. Once you've got all the exterior of the house scoped out, you may want to go ahead and draw a diagram of where your lights are going to be hanging. This is going to be handy here for the next step because we're going to be heading up to the roof to do a little measuring. Always be careful when you're climbing a ladder, and if possible, it's always nice to have someone at the base holding it. Don't forget while you're up top to enjoy the view. Then you're going to go ahead and measure each part of the house here where the Christmas lights are going to be hanging. And this is where the diagram comes in handy. Once you've got your measurement, then go ahead and jot that down. So here I've got a rough outline here of where I'm looking to put lights at. As the previous clip showed here, I went around and measured each major point. And then I went ahead and wrote down each value and the corresponding spot, and this is in inches, just so I can get a more exact number I'm looking for. So then after you've got your measurements all done, then you're going to want to look at your lights that you've got. If you haven't picked out a light yet, you maybe do some Google searching and kind of figure out what light you want, and then you're going to want to look for this here, this lighted length. The reason why I'm using the lighted length instead of the total length is because I don't want to include the extra cord, that goes into the outlet. So then from there, I'm going to go ahead and convert the feet here to inches because that's how I went ahead and measured. So then what we're going to do is so we've got 12 inches by 23 feet, which will give us 276 inches per strand. So off screen, I went ahead and added up each number here, and I came up with a total of 1,075 inches. So then from there, I'm going to go ahead and divide that by the 276 per strand, which is going to give me 3.89 strands. So it's going to be just under 4 strands is what I'm going to be looking for. So then from there, what we want to do is we want to calculate how many clips we're going to need. So as you can see here in this reel, we've got 70 lights per strand. So 70 times 4, which is going to give us 280 clips. So now, if I hadn't, since I've already bought the lights in the clips, it doesn't really matter. But from here, what I'd be able to do is I'd know what my shopping list would be, right? So I would know that I need 280 clips and 4 strands of light to be able to meet my requirements here. One thing I do want to note, just primarily because I did this layout last year, is that so from on this peak here, it kind of goes back before it reaches this next top here. I didn't calculate that. I probably should have, but because I don't do that, I'm going to probably be short on this end. However, I'm not positive on that. We'll kind of see how that plays out there. So for the fourth step here, we're going to go ahead and start getting everything rounded up here. Right now what I'm doing, I definitely recommend this, especially if you are using lights that you used previous years. But even if you've got new lights, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and test those out while you're inside. There's nothing more frustrating than going through all that work to hang the lights to realize that that some are either some of the bulbs are out or you have a bad strand in there. So yeah, I would definitely recommend taking the quick couple minutes here to go ahead and verify that all the lights are working as expected. After you've done that, then I like to go ahead and start rounding up the other supplies. Just to kind of talk with lights a little bit here, I've got some LED C9s. These have worked out pretty well as they're fairly economical. Yeah, just kind of my preference there, but you can use whatever light bulbs you want. And you're going to make sure you have plenty of extension cord, kind of depending on where your outlets are. You may need more, you may need less, but regardless, I like to make sure I have enough on hand, and even outside of Christmas, it's always handy to have some extension cords around. These are the clips I've been using. They've worked out pretty well for me. I picked them up at a big box store here, and they seem to do pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and buy one clip per bulb, like I discussed in the diagram. The reason being is this is going to give you a nice, clean look. Each bulb is going to be harnessed in, so you have a little more control over that. Whereas if you only put one clip every few bulbs, you definitely can do that, but you're not going to have that nice straight line that you'll see here at the final product here. Then I like to pick up some zip ties here. I went ahead and picked up some Greenland because that matches my extension cord and the strands of light. You can use regular zip ties as well, but these are always handy to secure the lights up on the gutters, as well as I'm going to be doing some lights around the post here out front. Then it's always handy to have an electronic timer here, primarily just for convenience. That way you don't have to go out and plug in your lights every night. Just gives you a lot of flexibility there. So definitely recommend one of those. Then I would recommend having one of these three-way connectors. This is definitely handy if you've got some crossroads there where you need to have multiple extension cords plugged into one. And then finally, I've got some red and green party bulbs here I'm going to be putting in the light fixtures outside. And this is just going to be a little extra flare on to kind of top off the final presentation. Step 5 is going to involve us laying out the Christmas lights in close proximity of where they're going to be hanging. What we're going to be doing this is just strictly, it just makes the process a little bit quicker. You don't have to fuss with running back and forth on top of the roof, as well as you don't have to get up and down on the ladder. Everything's just going to be right where you need to hang them. So it's definitely makes things go a lot quicker. So then step 6 is going to be where the grunt of the work starts, and here we're going to start hanging up the Christmas lights. As you can see here, the clips are already attached to bulbs, and that is because I left them on from last year. This isn't always possible. You can probably only get away with doing that for 1 to 2 seasons. The reason being is just being outside in the elements, in the sun and the cold, the clips kind of become brittle over time, so you may have to replace them. But if you can do this, it definitely helps speed things up. So when you're putting these clips on, the idea is to have the back of the bulb here to be pressed up against this little piece of plastic, and then you're going to strap the bulb in this way here. Something like that there. Then you can go ahead and put the clip down over the gutter. Or if you're working with the shingles, that part there will slide underneath this as well. So you can still have the straight line that we're going for to give the clean look. So something that I didn't do last fall that I'll definitely be doing this time is I didn't number the strands, and because I didn't do that, it's no guarantee that this particular strand here was exactly where it hung last year. And so as you can see here, I had to remove some of these clips and replace them. Yeah, so next year, if you label them correctly, ideally you wouldn't have to do this. As I mentioned earlier here, I went ahead and labeled each strand, and this is going to hopefully help me out next fall here. I don't know if this tape will last all winter, but worst case, I'll just replace it when I pull them down. Here are some mini LED lights I'm going to be wrapping around the porch post, and how I like to hang those. Here's where the zip ties come into play. Go ahead and use 4 zip ties there to get around the full post. Depending on the size of the post and the size of the zip tie, you may need to work out something like this here, but this just works out nicely where I can secure the light at the top of the post and then go ahead and start wrapping it around. So here's just a quick view of the front. You can see how things are progressing out by the front door, as well as here is where that 3-way connector comes into play. I've got one cord running up to the top where the main lights are, and then I got one cord running to one of the porch poles, and then another to the other porch pole. And then of course I've got the final strand here that is coming from the power source. I kind of got this wrapped around the outside of the house. And the reason why I went ahead and used the one in the back is primarily because it is out of the way. Last year I used the one by the front door, and it was kind of in the way with people, as they walked in the door. So this just kind of gets things out of the way a little bit cleaner. And then of course we got to go ahead and plug in the timer.